When I coached, we began every season with 3 assumptions. The first assumption was always you want to be the best player you can be, because every workout was designed to do that. The second assumption is that you want to be on a championship team. You want to be a part of a championship team, which meant you were willing to give up yourself for the good of the team. And the third assumption is you want to be the best you that you can be. Well, this character curriculum has a couple of assumptions. And the first assumption, an assumption is what we take for granted. In other words, we're going to take for granted that you really want to be the best you that you can be. Now, simply put, that's you want to be the best son. You want to be the best daughter. You want to be the best student. You want to be the best athlete. You want to be the best father, mother. You want to be the best police officer. You want to be the best employee. My dad had a 3rd grade education, and my wife and I were talking about why I chose to be a coach, and did we ever talk about it. And with my dad, when you started trying to talk about it, he would say, it don't matter what you are as long as you're the best you can be. It doesn't matter what you are as long as you're the best you can be. What this is, this curriculum is to make you the best you that you can be. And let's begin by looking at a group of people that a think tank in Colorado determined were the 300 greatest leaders since time began. Now, they listed these 300 people. And these 300 people were Jesus, Gandhi, Washington, Martin Luther King, Helen Keller, Lincoln, so forth and so on. You can argue with the 300. I mean, you might find somebody in there that you disagree with, but you know all these people's names and who they are. Well, there's a reason for that. You think what it is that determines what made them the people that they were. What made them special? The think tank determined that what made them special were these qualities. And these qualities, these 36 qualities, were highly developed in the 300. And these qualities are in your resource center. And I'm going to ask you to go to that resource center and make a copy of them. And there are things like commitment. All these people were committed to something. You take a Martin Luther King. He was committed to equal rights to the point that he was willing to give his life. Nelson Mandela was committed to end apartheid, even if it meant going to prison. Commitment. George Washington was committed to making this a free country, even if it cost him his life. Common sense, discipline, responsibility. All these qualities were the things that made these people the 300 greatest leaders that ever lived. They are highly developed in each one of them. The second thing is that was why they were so great. The first thing the think tank determined was who were the 300. The second thing was why were they the 300 greatest leaders? And these qualities they determined what made them. Now, the third thing is, to me, the best part of what the think tank determined. Every person has these qualities in them. I don't care where you are, who you are, what you're doing. Every person has these qualities in them. Let's take honesty. Now, who do you think about when the minute you think about honesty? Abraham Lincoln, Honest Abe. He had the quality of honest developed to the nth degree. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever told the truth in your life? As long as you've been alive, have you told the truth one time? Well, if you have, that means within you is honesty. It may not be developed as high or in that degree that Lincoln's was, but that's what the job of this curriculum is. One focus, and that's to develop these qualities in you to make you the best you that you can be. I don't care who you are, student, athlete, police officer, teacher, coach. It's going to make you the best you that you can be, because when all of these qualities become the best and they become highly developed in you, you are a better person. Now you look at these 36 qualities. Look at each one of them. I hope you ran them off, or if you didn't run them off, at least look at them. And I want you to take and put a star beside those qualities that are highly developed. I mean, if honesty within you is highly developed, put a star there. If tolerance, if compassion, all beside each one of them, either put a star, a 0, or a plus. Pretty obvious. A star means they're highly developed. A 0 means they're not developed at all. They really need to be developed. A plus means they need to be developed more. And that's going to tell us where we are. And the first thing you got to determine before you determine where you're going or where you want to go is you got to determine where you are. If you call me and say, Coach, I want to come over to your house, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, where are you? And from there, I can give you direction on how to get there. Well, when you put that star and that 0 and that plus, you're going to put where you are. Now, let me just give you a little note here. Why are you where you are, what you are, and who you are? That's all based on exposures. What is it that you have been exposed to? It's interesting to me, my generation, us that are 70 years old and older, on TV, what we watched was shows like Leave It to Beaver, Gunsmoke, things that you see on those cable channels that you never watch. Now, the thing about those TV shows, good always triumphed. Good was always successful. There was never anything bad in those shows. There was no bad language. There weren't any inferences of anything bad. Now, what are you exposed to today? I mean, the generation today is exposed to filth. Now, whether or not you choose to read it, watch it, or listen to it is your choice. You don't accidentally read anything. You don't accidentally listen to anything or watch anything. Your exposures are what you determine them to be, and those exposures are what determine where you are. You're who you are, and you're where you are, and you're what you are because of what has gone into your mind. You're no different than a computer. A computer is only as good as what's put into it. It's the same thing with you. It's what goes in is what comes out. If you put filth in, you get filth out. You put the good, the pure, the positive in, that's what you get out. What you've been exposed to is why you're where you are. What have you got to change if you want to change who you are, where you are, and what you are? Change what you've been exposed to. Make sense? Sure it does. The second assumption, first assumption, is that you want to be the best you that you can be. And let me stop right here. If you don't want to be the best you that you can be, don't go any further. Don't waste my time, your time, and everybody else's time. If you don't want to be the best student, best athlete, best police officer, best teacher, best coach, whatever it might be, don't go any further because you won't do this. Second assumption, just as important as the first one. I'm going to assume that you're willing to do something that you've never done before. You see, if you want something you've never had, what you've got to be willing to do is something you've never done. And I'm assuming that you're going to do something that you've never done before. And what is it that you got to do? You've got to give me 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Now, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. 1,440 minutes in a day. Now, if you sleep 8 hours. Or if you sleep 440 minutes, you still got 1,000 minutes. And I'm asking you for 15 minutes a day. Okay? And that's the commitment. That's what this plan is. You've got to make a commitment to 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. On Monday, what are we going to do on Monday? Because we're going to do it 5 days a week, 15 minutes a day. On Monday, you're going to write down a goal. And you're going to write down a goal for the day, or you're going to write down a goal for the week, or you're going to write down a goal for 6 months, or whatever it is you choose to do. When I was a football coach, I made the players write on a Post-it note and put on their locker 3 things they were going to get done that day. 3 goals that they were going to accomplish that day. Because what's so important about writing goals is that you're either goal-oriented or you're time-oriented. Either one or the other. H. Ross Perot did a study in Dallas to find out what was the difference between people that are self-employed and hourly wage workers. One difference. Hourly wage workers are time-oriented, self-employed people are goal-oriented. If you want to become a result-oriented, productive person, if you want to have a purpose in your life, if you want to be purpose-driven, real key, then you set goals. Now, you can have a journal and write it down. You can have a notebook and write it down. You can have an app on your phone and write this goal down. Now, let me talk about goals for just a second. Let's say that your goal to work out. You want to get in shape. Okay, so you write down and you say, this is a fitness personal goal. And I'm going to jog 1 lap today. Or as Zig Ziglar said many years ago, I'm going to jog to a mailbox. And Zig, when he began his fitness program, he jogged to 1 mailbox. The second day he jogged to 2. And then he kept working until he became more fit than 90% of the people 25 years and younger. And at that time, he was over 60 years old. But you start with little pieces. Okay, if your personal goal is to be fit, then you write down what it is that you want to be in shape or to run a 5K. My wife decided she was going to run a 5K at the age of 70. She got her an app that said Couch to 5K. And it told her the first day you jog a minute. And she followed that app completely until this past Easter, she ran a 5K. It's setting a goal. Let's say that your goal, that you're going to write a goal for family. Okay, a goal for family is I'm going to do the dishes for my mom this week. One night, I'm going to do the dishes, and then I'm going to give her mouth to mouth when she passes out. So I'm going to do the dishes. I'm going to clean my room every day. A Navy SEAL once, I heard him give a speech, and he said the most important thing they did, they made their bed every morning, and they made it perfectly. So that's the matter. Okay, let's say that your goal is in school. You make a school goal. I'm going to make a 90 on the English test we have next Friday. Okay, with that goal, and you say it as if it's already accomplished, I'm going to make a 90 on the English test we're going to have next Friday at 10 o'clock. With that goal, you write what your plan is. How you going to do that? You're going to just walk in and they're going to give you a 90 because you showed up? Yeah. No. There's got to be a plan with it. So you say, I'm going to make a 90 because every night between now and next Friday, from 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock, I'm going to turn the cell phone off and I'm going to study for that English test. So I've done 2 things. I've worked on becoming a purpose-driven individual. And the second thing, I've worked on commitment. See, the truth is, if you write something down and make it a goal, it's not a goal until you put a plan with it. And once you put the plan with it, it's more than a dream. You see, if all they say is, I want to play in the NFL, and you say, what's your plan? You're going to have to spend 10,000 hours to become an elite football player. So how are you going to do that? And if they have no plan to do it, they're dreaming. There is no commitment. You see, Harvard University did a study, and they found out that if you write down a goal, and you write down as if it's already been accomplished, you're 50% of the way to reaching that goal. 50% to reaching that goal. So that's how you do it. And that's how you become purpose-driven and committed. Commitment and purpose-driven all come on Monday. And you write down a goal. And it doesn't matter if it's in family or if it's spiritual. You know, maybe you want to read a chapter in Proverbs every day for spiritual. My wife and I get up every day and we read one chapter in Proverbs. And we have for years and years and years. That's spiritual. Or maybe you want to go to church on Sunday or whatever it might be. But you set the goal and you set the plan with it. That's your goal. That's Monday is going to be setting a goal. Now, there was a guy in the 1950s. I want you to think about this, 1950s. And they paid him as a consultant to give them one suggestion on what they could do to improve their profit margin. His one suggestion was for them to write down, every employee to write down 6 things they were going to get done that day before they went home. At the end of that year, they paid the guy $35,000, which in today's money is $370,000. So their profit margin obviously went up a great deal more than $370,000. How? Those people quit being time-oriented and started becoming goal-oriented. You see, when you go out to practice, you're either going to be trying to get practice over with, or you're going to have a reason to be out there. When you go to English today, if you're a student in high school or college and you go to English today, are you going there for a reason, or if you're going there just to put in the 45, 50 minutes? If you're going there just to put in the 45, 50 minutes, that's all you're going to get out of it. So you should have a goal for every class you've got. You should have a goal for every piece of your life, what you're going to do. In order to be purpose-driven, you've got to have a purpose and you've got to write it down. Then you got it made. Now, a little side effect to purpose-driven and to writing down a goal. See, when you write down a goal and you accomplish it, you know what goes up? Self-respect. When those players wrote down 3 things they were going to get done in practice that day, and they went out there and they got them done, and they walked off that field, how did they feel about themselves? They felt real good. And if all of them did it, then the whole team, the team self-respect went up. Well, I tell you what goes up, when self-respect goes up, so do expectations. And so when you write down a goal and you accomplish it, your expectations of yourself are going to go up. Now, what's the number one thing that people, in a study that was done, what's the number one thing that people said that they wanted? Respect. Don't disrespect me. The number one thing that people wanted was respect. Well, how do you get self-respect? Write down a goal and accomplish it. When you write that goal down, write it down as if you'd already done it. That's Monday. That's all you're doing on Monday. You may get, on Monday, you'll get a definition of the quality you're going to be looking at that week and a quote to kind of give you an idea of what the quality is going to be. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are identical. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you're going to get a story, a poem, or something that illustrates the quality that we're looking at, either in a negative way or a positive way. In the poem, The Cold Within, it's a negative poem about the effects of tolerance. If you have no tolerance, here's what happens. So you either get a poem or a story about the quality that you can, hopefully it illustrates to you what it is. Now, along with that story, there's going to be 2 or 3 questions for you to answer. Now, here's why it's so important for you to answer those questions. Write the answers to those questions. Here's why it's so important to write your goals. At the base of your brain is a group of cells called the reticular activating sensors, RAS for short. And they were discovered in this century. And what they found was that they are the junk mail filters for the brain. If you tried to process all the information that you get in one day, you'd go crazy. I mean, in this information age and the internet and social media, if you tried to process everything that you got in one day, you'd go crazy. What the RAS does, it takes 2 things. It will put into your brain and put in a folder there anything that's a danger to you. If there's a danger, it'll put it there. The second thing is anything that's important to you. Well, the brain determines it's important if you write it down. Why is it important that you take notes? Because when you write it down, the brain says, okay, this is important. Why is it important for you to write the goals down? Because the brain said, oh, this is important. And when you put that goal down and you write it down, the brain begins, your subconscious actually begins working on that goal immediately. It's the same thing with these questions. You get the story and then you answer the questions. And the questions have you write it down, and so it becomes important to you. Okay? Now, the third piece of the puzzle is you discuss the answers with someone. Teacher, student, friend, wife, husband, whoever it might be, but you discuss it. And let me explain this to you, because there's a rhyme and reason for everything we do. If you listen to these audio lessons, you will remember 2%. And this has been proven. If you'll listen to that English teacher, you'll remember 2%. That history teacher, you'll remember 2%. If you write down what's said, you'll remember 60 to 80% RAS. If you write down what they say and you discuss it with someone, you remember 80 to 100%. Now in this curriculum, what are we looking for? 100%. Let me give you a really quick example. If you're in a math class, the teacher gets up and gives you a concept, teaches you a concept. If it doesn't go any further, you're going to remember 2%. Okay, now the teacher gives you 10 problems. And you take those 10 problems home and you work those 10 problems. You remember 60 to 80%. Now, if you go back to that class after you've worked those problems and you get up and you discuss how you got the answers, you're going to remember 80 to 100%. Same thing with this curriculum. Exact same thing. You listen to the stories, 2%. You write the answers to the questions, 60 to 80%. You discuss the answers, 80 to 100%. So you don't want to miss out on any one of those 3. That's how important it is. Okay, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now let's get to Friday. On Friday, we're going to evaluate the week. You know, my mom used to always say, you gotta expect great things, but you also have to inspect. We had a garden and she expected that garden to produce a lot of fruit, but she inspected it every day to make sure there weren't any weeds or bad things in it. You expect good things, but you inspect. So on Friday, you're going to develop the quality of responsibility because you're going to accept responsibility for what you did this week. Not give excuses. You're going to become dependable and responsible. So you're developing all these qualities along with this. On Friday, regarding goals, you rate yourself a GED star system. If you did them, give yourself 5 stars. 5 stars. If I did them, you would give yourself 5 stars. Okay, if you didn't do them, if you didn't do any of them, don't beat yourself up. You're not going to be perfect the first week or the second week or the third week. But here's what we're looking for. You're going to write down why didn't you do the goal? And what are you going to do differently next week? Write it down. Why didn't you do that goal? You said you was going to make the bed every morning. You said you were going to jog to the mailbox and you didn't do it. Okay, now write down why you didn't do it. And be honest. Be honest. Don't make a bunch of excuses. It rained. You could have ran in place. Be honest with yourself. And that's how you get better at it, because the next week, you're not going to have those same ones. And over this 36 weeks, you're going to become proficient at it. Now, it also has a question that says, what was your favorite story of the 3? You had one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. And why? I mean, all of these stories don't fit you. You may get some that you go, well, that's stupid, or that's way out of date, or whatever it might be. And there may be one that kindles something in you. And you go, oh, I see that. So you write down why. Because we want to make sure that the lessons are meaningful. Now then, the third thing that's going to ask you on Friday is, how did you model the quality this week? In other words, if the quality this week was honesty, how'd you model that? Because see, to have a head knowledge of these qualities is meaningless. I can promise you, lots and lots and lots of people understand honesty. But do they do it? And that's the key to this curriculum. How did you model it this week? Because the key to it is you want to become a role model with each one of these qualities. And so you look at honesty and you said, I was honest every day. Or I wasn't honest, and here's why, and here's what I'm going to do differently next week. I was dependable. We're working on the quality of dependability. I was dependable. I showed up every morning on time. I got my work done. I did everything I was supposed to do. Or if you didn't, write down why you didn't and what you're going to do differently. Role model. It's the doing. It's not just the head knowledge. You'll learn in the curriculum, you'll learn there's 3 parts to it. There's the head, heart, and backbone. The head is knowing what a quality is. The heart is having a passion for it. But the most important one, having the backbone to do it. Let me close with this. What we have here is character education. Well, we know that, Coach. You already said that. No. Educate is a Latin word that means to pull out. You see, we're not going to pour any character into you. But if you'll follow the guidelines, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and give us 15 minutes every day, then we will develop within you these qualities. educate. We will pull these qualities out of you. And we will make you the best you that you can be.